Swansea Jacks, you lowlifes, you no good so-and-sos. You see who I'm here with, brother? The one and only Cardiff. The legendary soul crew is in the vicinity. And you boys, you're not worthy of the same level of respect. You're not worthy to be named in the same conversation. And sometime I'll come to your gaff. And hey, now that you see it's gonna be on you with me joining with these guys, one thing you could do is you could pay tax. We could go easier on you.
We can do it.
You give us 20% of the earnings of your football club, Swansea, and you can prevent the storm that is brewing right here and right now. If not, sayonara, sucker.
What's going on, people? Welcome to the Central Club. This episode is brought to you by Re-Inspire Printing, Kaleidoscope Project, and last but not least, Heard So Good Graffiti. If you haven't noticed, we've been using Heard So Good Studio now for the last couple of weeks, and without them, these podcasts wouldn't be happening. So a big shout out to them. Go show your support by following on Instagram and all their other social media platforms. Today we are blessed. Today we're thankful. Today we have our first American on the Central Club podcast. But this man ain't any old American. This is the man who took YouTube by storm over 2 years ago with the Vice documentary covering fanatical obsession of football hooliganism. As you know, we've interviewed a few top boys from Cardiff City Soul Crew, but this one is different. Representing the IMF Inter Miami firm, I welcome you, Mr. Derek Diablo.
Yeah, brother, you already know who it is. Del Diablo, Del Boy D, Diablo TV, in the flesh. And I'm very honored to be here in Cardiff. Thanks to Colin, thanks to Cardiff Soul Crew, respect to Cardiff City FC. Come on.
I can't believe we're here, mate. Thank you so much for coming. Honestly.
It's my pleasure, brother. Thank you for having me over. Thanks for inviting me. The respect that Cardiff has. And we've been having a bit of discussion. I'd like to say more, though. Everybody know I'm in the oi music, skinheadism and so forth. So I'm listening to the press since I'm 13 years old, and he said, this one's for the Cardiff crew. So alongside, that's how I find out about hooliganism in the 80s. Listen to Cockney Rejects, Last Resort, oi music. So alongside the cities of London, West Ham and so forth, and Manchester, Blitzes from Manchester, alongside of those, I always also knew about Cardiff. So, massive respect. And then me having the personal relationship with lads and being with Plymouth and so forth. Many would say, obviously, that Soul Crew is one of the top firms UK of history, but we all know it's a top firm of the southwest of England where I mainly reside and so forth. So with that being said, now let's go on further, now that I've given the proper respect, hopefully.
Thank you so much. I'm sure everyone who's got any ties to Cardiff City Football Club would really appreciate that. Is this your first time in Cardiff?
Yeah, it's my first time in Wales. I lived in UK 6 months, 2019, primarily in Plymouth, but I never made it to Wales. I've always wanted to.
Yeah. What made you go to Plymouth? Why Plymouth?
Well, I'd done the first video, and the background of that is you have that Muppet, that weasel, Steve Dolan, that false flagger. And then, so once they said we're going to get our new club, because some people, let me just get into this. I had my first football match in 1979. I saw George Best, didn't I? We had Fort Lauderdale Strikers. That used to be my team. I saw them as a child growing up and everything like that. It went to Miami FC. We then went back to Fort Lauderdale Strikers, and that went away. It died. And then they started saying that we're going to have our own football club, David Beckham and all this, and that would be Inter Miami. So as soon as I heard that, the casuals thing I had been wanting to push the football hooliganism, but I was dressing more as a boot boy, boots and braces and flight jacket and scarf. I was wearing that for the Fort Lauderdale Strikers. I was trying to get it going back then, but we had the Tampa Bay Rowdies. That was our so-called enemies, and they come, and I said, okay, that's the people we'll be able to have it with. And they got 30 guys. They were on colors. They're bantering, like cursing us, and they win. So then I had 6, 7 guys at this time. That was the most I could pull together. And, I went around, I told them, go down the street. When they done, they told the old Bill. So it failed. I gave up on it at that point. Then years later, we have our club. So right away, as soon as I thought it was a reality, I announced the first supporters group, Miami Casuals, with the intention of kicking off a casuals culture. I didn't realize so many other people really were already into it. So I never said hooligan. I thought it would be like daft to say hooligan because it doesn't really exist in America as such. But once I got on the Facebook groups, Dolan's group and elsewhere, I started saying Miami casuals. Everybody said, oh, you cunt, you American, this, that. Everybody's coming at me. I said, what? And at that point, then I said, fuck all you, into Miami firm, hooligan. And then they're talking, oh, you thought, well, if you come to England, we'll do this to you, we'll do that to you. I said, yeah, I'll come to England. Nah, you won't come, you twat, you this, that. I said, I had a lot of legal problems. So I said, once I sort out my legal problems, I'll come. And what I'll do is, I'll fight the top boy of every firm one-on-one. And the loser has to buy the other guy a pint. So that was my mentality last time. I thought I was gonna make a lot of money fighting. And with the Plymouth thing, so to go back a minute, so when I first put okay, I said Miami Casuals, I made a logo with Lacoste crocodile, right? And then everybody starts coming against me. Then this Dolan Muppet had multiple accounts. So on one account, now he's hitting me up saying, and he's saying publicly, yeah, I'm coming with 3 guys from Millwall, and we want to have it with you, Miami. Let's meet up, blah, blah, blah. I said, oh, but first he didn't say Millwall. He said, I got some guys who are coming. I'm like, who are you? He wouldn't say. And he says, oh, let's meet up somewhere, blah, blah, nah. Who you with? He won't say. I say, well, what sort of firm is this? You won't say who you are. And then Geezer says Millwall. Oh, great. My first enemy is going to be Millwall. But why not? Because that's the main enemy in all the movies. And the movies is what got me into this stuff. But not no Green Street. I seen ID. I read Among the Thugs when it came out. I saw Football Factory when it came out. Saw every Football Factory episode, Real Football Factories when it came out. Every international football. So I've been following this for a long time and trying to get this going. So then with this Dolan chap, then he on publicly, he's challenging me to a fight. And then he eventually says Millwall. And then everybody in the group, it was an American group actually. Everybody in the group says, oh shit, Miami versus Millwall. I was like, great, well this wasn't my idea, but now that it's that. But then he hits me up with a different account with him, with his face. And it has a book talking about Millwall and the quote, anybody comes down to the den, we attack them. And he's giving he goes around Bulgaria and Russia. They can't tell the difference of the accents. He goes around there pretending like he's Millwall.
He's Scottish, isn't he?
Yeah, but see, I exposed that. Nobody knew it because nobody had heard him talk. So then he's false flagging Millwall, but then Millwall really couldn't say anything about it because without me bringing the video out and everything, it was a catalyst. But at any rate, so now he's reaching out to me publicly. I see who he is, and he's being all friendly. He's being all cool. I'm like, so, I said, what do you think about doing a professional hooligan fight, like a forest fight, European style, but we'll create an environment for it and put it on pay-per-view. He says, yeah, mate, that's sweet, let's do it. I'm like, damn, okay. I says, well, this is what you do. With the wrestling, I'm big into wrestling. We had a little conversation about pro wrestling. So pro wrestling has a big influence. In one sense, I'm mixing the pro wrestling with the hooliganism in case anybody hasn't figured that part out yet. But I think anybody who follows wrestling would get it. But I told Dolan that. I said, here's what you do. I said, here's what you do. I said, you get 10 guys, you put them in masks, long before the pandemic. This is 2018. I said, you got 10 guys in Bally's in front of your Millwall pub, and you get in front of them and you call us out, Miami, 10 on 10, blah, blah, blah. He says, no, mate, they won't understand it. He says, you do it first. I says, all right. So then that's when I done the first video. Based on that, it was in cooperation with Millwall that we're doing it get together. As soon as I done the video, though, it went viral. I go to the gym. I come back, 7,500 hits. Huh? So then I nearly cried because it was a Facebook video. I can't make money off it. And I tried to take it down. My first viral video I see is happening, right? Like, as such. I've done a bunch of other videos, maybe you know about with the street fighting and gang violence videos of us, reality videos, which led to World Star Hip Hop. That came out after our videos. So,
yeah. So just before we go more on, just so people don't know, like you was doing hood videos, like DVDs and stuff, long time ago, before you even like discovered the terrorist culture, yeah?
Well, if you look at my channel, Diablo TV, you'll see that I got a story from NBC and another story from Telemundo that's from 2004 that's covering it. They done cover stories in the newspaper. What it is being the skinhead scene and the hardcore scene, there's a lot of violence, right? And so one of my mates was called Dennis, heavy-duty gangster, well-known from South Florida, my man Do-Rag Dennis. He was in the gang.
Do-Rag
Dennis. See, I'm a Zulu chapter 3, so basically with the anti-racist skinhead thing, we all united anti-racist skinhead gangs and street gangs, black and Latino street gangs, united to fight Nazi skinheads, basically. So then I'm a Zulu Chapter 3. That was the biggest gang in Fort Lauderdale. We were like 500 deep in Broward County at that time. And then he was from West Palm. He was in Durag Posse, as I said. So then I'd be traveling just like I'm traveling around now. You know, I didn't just stay in my area. I traveled around, so I would go to West Palm and go fuck with them and go bang with them against their enemies. So me and him had a long-standing relationship. Then he started filming at shows. And then to be a skinhead in our scene, you know, basically you got to fight one-on-one. They used to make me, when I go to shows, they'd be like, oh, you want to join? You got to fight this other kid from Miami in between bands. You know, kind of for the entertainment of the lads. But if you won't fight one-on-one in a fair fight, how do we figure you're not going to run if it's, you know, at proper enemies? So we had that all going on, filming our own stuff for a long time. Then I saw bum fights. You ever seen bum fights?
Yeah, Rufus.
Yeah,
Bling
right.
Bling the crackhead.
So, right. Well, it's funny, I hung around with Bling Bling when I lived in San Francisco.
Yeah?
Yeah. I'm serious. I hung around with Bling Bling when I hung around in San Francisco. That's another story. I don't mind getting into.
I can imagine you and Bling Bling rolling together in San Fran.
Well, the thing is, we were actually talking about doing stuff together, but I was a bit out of my head. You know, there's a lot of psychedelics to be had and so forth in that territory. But anyway, so going back to my mate Dennis and us, we had a lot of street fights. So when I saw bum fights, and somebody gave me bum fights, I said, oh, okay. I got the idea, but, you know, not to do the bum thing, to put our skinhead music and so forth. But we had more street fights and better street fights than them. So then basically I kicked it to him and we wrote it out. And then we made the first movies called Dirty South Street Brutality. And then that was mainly more, it showed some hood stuff, but more skinhead type of stuff and hardcore music. Then everybody from the hood would see us filming. We'd go out just at the end of the night to black clubs and Latino clubs and stuff. And things are gonna pop off. People are gonna get shot on every regular night. Anytime there's gonna be a lot of violence at the end of the night, 4 a.m. when our clubs get out. So we hang around there, but at first, let's say more the black and Latino gang members, Samoan gang members as well at that time, they didn't really trust somebody with a camera when you're committing acts of violence. However, once they saw the first movie, then everybody wanted to be in it. So now, after that, now everybody say, oh shit, look, they're putting guns up and showing big bags of crack and everything. So then the second movie is called Gangsters and Thugs, and then that shows more on the black side of things. You know, we got one cat that got a RPG with a Bally on. So that put us in the spotlight in a negative way as well, though. Like his house got raided. Jeb Bush signed off. Homeland Security came and raided his house and tried to say they're going to charge us with RICO charges because they say there ain't no way that you guys are hanging around in the middle of all this criminal activity
and nothing's happening.
And you're not part of it.
Yeah.
So they said they're going to hit us with RICO charges, but he didn't back down. So anyway, then we got signed by the people who made Hood Life, and so they put out Hardcore Raw and Uncut, which was another version of the first one of Dirty South Street Brutality. Then they put out Hood Life Volume 3, and then other movies followed and so forth. So then you might have seen that NBC did a story about me in 2004 related to South Florida gang violence and filming gang violence and so forth.
So you ever been in any encounters yourself of any of this violence?
Yeah, what do you mean?
Well, instead of just filming, are you whilst you're filming these people in these areas, do you ever come across anything yourself like?
Well, yeah, of course you get, you know, I mean, you're in the middle of the situation where people got guns and everything, but thing about it is, you know what I mean, same way I guess if I'm able to come here, you know what I mean, if you're a Blood or a Crip or Latin King or a Folk, it's always been that way that if you're invited by somebody, it puts you in a certain position as a guest. Yeah. You feel me? So I'm from Fort Lauderdale to begin with, but I've been banging. I was going to West Palm for so long. I earned my respect in West Palm, and me and Dennis are brothers. So then whenever I'm around, Diablo, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And a lot of those people are familiar with me. I've been going there since the 80s. You feel me? So I kind of earned my way over there. But yeah, it's nothing light to be in the middle of a situation with a bunch of people, you know, that are armed and stuff's about to pop off. You know what I mean? But I believe in God and Jesus and stuff like that. So
I want to talk as well about, like, you know, the clubber you wear. Like, it's very British influenced, tennis culture. Got some nice clubber. Before we talk about your clubber, how do you fund it? Like, do you work? Like, what do you do? How do you make a living?
Yes, I do work. So not that I go around talking about it, because so I have a character, let's say, that is my persona, and then there's me, but there's just like Ric Flair and Dusty Rhodes, it's still the same person. So with that being said, I like kind of playing the fool a little bit, in case you don't know. What I found is with the videos, it's an experiment. And plus it's like an alien culture. And I would be bantering, one man bantering against thousands, you know, from all over UK. And I would see what pushed their buttons. Really, and I would experiment like that. So then I would do different videos and I would see the reactions to it. And if I came across serious and informative and I was accurate with everything, where's the comedy? Comedy is exaggeration. So then I started seeing that when I would make mistakes, they say, you twat, you're deluded. And I would see that the mistakes were funny, just like anomalies in music.
Yeah.
So then I would deliberately come up with a lot of half-truths and everything like that. And so, you know, a bit playing the fool. I said all that to say that my main profession is teaching martial arts since 1990. But then also I do securities, bodyguarding, and other stuff like that. I run a lot of, in the past, I'm 48 years old, so I'm not actively out there living a violent lifestyle. I have when I was younger and everything. And then when it comes to moshing, hardcore shows, I have a unique ability with that, in that since I'm the top skinhead, and then I'm the leader of the gang, and then I'm also a friendly person, and I also know security, and I'm merciful. I don't go around, I never use my violence for the purpose of bullying weaker. Yeah. Let's say, you know what I mean, we go on a spot, you know what I mean, a lot of time when we do a show of force, we don't gotta execute actual violence. So I have a unique ability, let's say, to govern a massive hardcore or death metal show where there's gonna be hundreds of people moshing and everything like that. So basically, like, let's say I was in San Francisco and I moved to Bay Area region, right? And then that market, the martial arts market I was living near Portland area at that time, you know, it wasn't really that popping, let's say. In UK, you guys don't pay much for martial arts. You can't really make that much of a living.
It's expensive in America then to teach a class. Is this for
yeah. Well, for example, I went in one gym here, that's SBG gym, Flow, went to say hello to them in Plymouth, that's connected with Conor McGregor. And they charge about, I think, 30 or 40 quid a month for everything.
Well, you boys are both.
I see one guy has a jiu-jitsu shirt.
Yeah. Is that same cost?
Yeah. So the thing is, no, in American top team, Carson Gracie's, it'd be more like $150, $250. So more like, well over 100 quid. Let's say like
the
that.
dojo you was into Gracie, innit?
Yeah, well,
on the Vice documentary.
Yeah, at the time I was working. That was Carson Gracie Pompano. I was a striking coach at that time. But see, what I was trying to do is train for force fighting. I've put so much work into it with the proper group fighting strategies. I have diagrams written out. I wish I would have the ability to execute some of these ideas. Some of the people have written to me, not to cut you off, said that this man maybe could be the Dana White of a new sport.
Yeah.
But I do visualize it.
Yeah, I think you're probably missing, you know, you're on the right track, but what I see is, you know, you've got the clobber, you try to influence people who like to dress that way in America maybe, but you're not going to find someone with trim trabs and a stone island fighting in the forest. Those Russian guys who are forest fighting got a gum shield and a fruit of the loom round neck top. Do you know what I mean? They're two different, I find them as two different hooligans. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. Which, I don't want to spoil too much of the idea, but who knows if I don't do it together in concert with you guys, since this is the first time I'm presenting it. No, mate, what I'm talking about is a room like this. We'd put black mats on the floor, and we'd put the street painting, put graffiti on the walls. No, and wearing clobber.
Yeah.
Yeah, gum shields, and 4-ounce gloves, but wearing clobber.
Yeah.
But maybe it has to be matching so you can see what team. But no, dress correctly.
Yeah, I think the buzz about the tennis UK culture is having a pint and, you know, it's unknown territory. You don't really know them. When it comes to going to a dojo or in a room, it's like there's too much respect.
It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. Like, see, so now a lot of things that we're talking about is stuff that I thought before I ever came to England.
Yeah.
When I was making stuff up in my own head and bantering against people. I don't really have any of these ideas active. I'm just happy to come and be a lad and meet other lads.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to, what I realize is you're not going to take this culture and duplicate it in another country.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if you want to experience the culture, you have to be around the people. You come eat the food, come yourself. So really, I'm not trying to do anything new unless other people like you just say, hey, some idea you had, maybe it's a good one. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to make no modifications to this culture. I'm just happy to be here. So I had to rethink a lot of things. You know, and then living in UK 6 months, you know what I mean, and seeing the clothes and talking to lads and meeting so many different lads, and everybody has their own opinion about these things. It's not something you could study. It's like skinheadism, your gang violence, Freemasonry, esoterica. They're subjects that you can't study straightforward from a book. You have to come and meet the people. You have to learn it yourself. And two people don't all share the same opinion. How about if you used the Hooligan books as an academic study? You're gonna have to, compare them to each other. Everybody doesn't agree on the same version of history.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. You know, I've read many books, and the events they say it didn't happen that way, or the opposition remembers it a totally different way. We had Jonathan Evans on. He said in one book, Nottingham Forest said they brought 400 people to Cardiff. And he was saying that was not the case, like it did not happen. So it's always going to be favoured on the person who's writing the book.
Well, now on that subject, to plug some of your guys, so you got the book Soul Crew. It's on my list. I'm looking forward to reading it. And then,
Tony Rivers, yeah.
And then I heard there's another book coming up. Does he have another book coming up?
He's got so they're doing a photography book. I think it's called Magnetic. So yeah, it's like a from the 80s to the beginning of tennis culture really up to now with like Stone Island CP, but it's more like a photographic book.
Yeah, Motherwell Dressers, they have a Motherwell SS Saturday Service. They have a book like that that the geezer actually sent me. That has a documentation of the clobber as well. So football, fighting, fashion, that's the mantra, is it not?
Yeah.
And then we're going back into the clobber.
Yeah.
So at first I was piecing stuff together. I come from skinhead, so I got my Doc Martens on my neck at all time. Mine don't come off, but at the same time, boots and braces, flight jacket. I never even cared about a Harrington jacket before. Fred Perry, I don't even wear button-down pens. So the style's pretty basic and it doesn't evolve. So then with the casuals thing, me at the beginning trying to piece it together, I initially bought the book when I first was deciding at the end of 2017 that I wanted to put my life in a different direction. And in a way, well, I'm saying that casuals saved my life in a way, because I was in the extreme left-wing violence at the time. And then I had an issue with the feminists. And then, so then from leaving that, I dedicated my life to that hardcore. I was leading every protest in South Florida. I went to San Francisco Bay Area to study it. And that was all evolution from anti-racist skinhead gang violence. So then, ultimately...
So when you say like extreme leftist, you're talking like Antifa style stuff and stuff like that?
Yeah, and the thing is that it's been hijacked in America.
I feel like
elsewhere.
it has in general now. Like,
100%. So I walked away from it. That's another story. I don't really want to get into politics. I don't.
Yeah, that's fine.
I don't mind talking about it. But what I see is lads don't talk about that. As much as the hooligans are portrayed as being far right and this and that, I never talked politics with any of my friends, to be honest with you. So I don't like to bring it up, honestly. They overlooked my Antifa background, which means something different to me than it means to the common person, and they understand that, But the same way I overlook some of my friends got far right background. So my friend was in EDL. I know you had Tommy Robinson on and stuff, but when it comes to that, I don't necessarily think that he's racist. Now he clearly has a certain stance, that people is going to interpret that way and everything like that. But EDL, and I've talked to Riaz Khan pretty extensively about this. And then you had the FLA and DFLA and so forth. And it's a touchy issue, and it's not something I want to go too deep into, but I don't mind to say it. Nobody has a right to come to these countries, to England, Scotland, Wales, and set up your own stuff and disrespect the people that are from there. America's different. It's a so-called melting pot. Already it's
the land of opportunity. It was,
and we took it from the indigenous or whatever.
Anyway, yeah.
So it's explicitly said that it's a melting pot. Everybody's supposed to come from other countries, but you see, still that's not so cut and dry.
People would say as well, though, like with Britain, we've been taking over the fucking world all out, forever. Britannia ruled the waves, so it's kind of like the chickens are coming home to roost type of thing. In a way, that's what people would say.
Hey, now why you said it like that? Taking over the club. Who's the best dressed? English. The subcultures, all the top subcultures, the best.
They say Italian some though, don't they? But I'd say British.
Maybe they say it.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Look how I dress now. We got the top Italian stuff as well, but when I say we, so back to the clobber. I'm the only man in America that got the aqua scutum. Actually, my man Stephen McKnight got it also. But how about that? Those I got a Tobe Stan Smith. That's not bad. You say I got a Mastrom jacket. But as far as bringing the clobber to America and teaching the Americans how to dress, I stand at the forefront. And as you saw, I was wearing Section 60.
Yeah.
That's a new clobber line. The boy Liam. So you saw I had the hat and the shirt, and he picked me to be the U.S. representative. So in spreading this culture, it's not just about talking about violence and talking about the glory days in the past of our youth. This is an industry. And who made Stone Island famous? All right? The Football Factory and the lads. That's who made football. And now everybody wears it.
Yeah, you got people like Drake and rappers wearing it.
After the fact, then Drake and Travis Barker, and that's cool. It's good for the company and everything. Personally, I think Stone
Culture
Island...
Vulture, that a bit of a cult.
To me, Stone Island's gotten too big. Everybody's wearing. I see a tramp yesterday where yeah, he sat begging for money, asking me. He asked me, hey, "You got spare change, mate? You got a Stone Island Scully on? You asking me for change?" Anyway,
I was in TK Maxx yesterday, and they had 3 Stone Island wax waistcoats, and they were sick. And I thought, how have Stone Island even let it get in there?
That's what I mean. It's a bit too accessible.
So you got Sports Direct, yeah, in Britain, and this is what I said. YSL, Yves Saint Laurent, yeah, YSL. It was a great make, yeah. They used to have banging polos, and now, yeah, right. They started selling in Sports Direct. Everyone had them, fucking everyone. Do you know what I mean? It just downgraded the brand. Same with Ralph Lauren. Now you go in TK Maxx, it's just full of Ralph Lauren. It's too easy accessible, like you said, and you're just downgrading your brand.
That's what I think. So then, CP, and
they're doing it as well, though.
Well, but maybe so. And I have not seen that as much. But to me, CP, and it's interesting, I read them openly say that they mean for the CP to be the terrace wear and the Stone Island to go more in the direction of the Supreme and so forth. But you got other makes. What about Weekend Offender, martial artists? Yeah, he's from Wales, yeah?
Yeah,
Cardiff?
yeah, so Cardiff.
Yeah, respect to Weekend Offender. I got pieces from Weekend Offender. You know what I mean? I'll spread it as much as I can. So, for lads that was involved in this stuff, to be able to make a living now, whether it's writing books about the firm, whether it's making a clobber line, whether it's making podcasts, whether it's making films, this culture should keep going. And the people who were involved in it, it's how I know about it. From the films and the movies and the books. Without Nick Love, where would this cult be now? Yeah. Without Football Factory? I know my best friends, and it's again, you're asking me how I come to this country or how I come to England. So to backpedal there and tie the two together, my best friend from England, Stefan Adamson, TCE, Central Element, his brother Sean, lovely guy, some of my closest friends. But anyway, so once I done the first video, the Steve Dolan wound me up, yeah? And I made the first video calling out Millwall, based on the idea that we're working together and we're gonna do a professional fight. And I come home and it went viral, and then all over the Hooligan groups, that I was in all the groups. I was in all Dolan's groups, I was in the American group. I had just been pushing Miami Casuals, and now he spread the video. And I got hundreds of Facebook messages. We're Millwall, we're gonna kill you, cunt, we're gonna do this to you. And most of them were just like that. But then some of them seem a little more intelligent, like, hey, look, we don't know who you are, we don't know him, he's not Millwall, leave us out of it. So some of them were more, gentlemanly and say something. And then I started answering those, a few different ones. I said, well, what do you mean? How is this dude not Millwall? He's out there writing books and going out there representing. He says, mate, we don't know who he is, we never saw him, we don't know who you are, we don't care what you're doing, just leave us out of it. I says, well, I want to talk to somebody I've seen from the real football factories. You know what I mean? Let me talk to somebody who I know is Millwall. And then sooner or later, they gave me a contact. It wasn't somebody that had been in any of the videos. But, and this geezer, lad, he from Millwall, he hit me up. And we did a FaceTime call. And I explained him what I just explained to you now. And I'm not so tech savvy. Otherwise, I think my channel would be much more advanced. I need help with that, honestly. But so then I say all the same things I just said to you. He says, yeah. He said, you still got the messages? I said, yeah. He said, can you screenshot it? Send it to me. I said, well, I don't really know how, but yeah, I'll do it. So that's precisely what I done. I screenshotted all of them. He saw all those things I just said, All those things I was talking about, he saw them. And when he hit me back, he said, "Top man, Del." They were already calling me Del at the time, which I had to learn because we don't have fools and horses in America. So that's another story how I even learned.
That's what I thought it was from, Del Boy. Like,
yeah, well, they named me that though, and because Derek is Del and Decca. There's strange thing about British, and then that's another thing I'd rather if you told me at the end when I wrap up. The Wales is not England, obviously, but then British. I'd rather say Welsh and be appropriate, but. When you say British, only fools and horses, everybody.
Yeah, and everyone knows. Anyway, everyone knows only fools and horses, mate.
So when I say that, I don't know if they do this in Wales as well. The British shorten words that don't need to be shortened. For example, I'm in the co-op sometime last time I lived here, and a woman bring her dog in. Come on, Lils. All right, Lils. All right, Lils.
Yeah.
The dog's name is Lily. So you're calling it another 4-letter word. Lils for Lly. And then,
that's true.
Derek is Derek. So they say Des, Deca, Deza. Des is another 5 word. Deca is another 5-letter word. So you don't even, you're making a nickname, but that's not even shortening.
It's not even shortening.
Which is slick. It's slick. It's like rhyming slang. It's cool. It doesn't have to be shorter, So then just to say that one real quick is that people started calling me Del Boy. I didn't know what it meant. And then eventually somebody told me, listen, dude, this is the guy they're calling you. And then I started watching Only Fools and Horses. This is when I'm still in America. Honestly, I thought you were taking the piss out of me because I saw him more like a hapless kind of guy.
Cowboys are G-mate.
Well, I get that because then once I'm in England, now I'm hanging around and I'm interested. I meet some guy and they were listening to dubstep in the street. None of the lads listen to dubstep. I'm well into it. I know all the fat. I know Hatcha.
Listen, no, whoa.
Plastician.
Dubstep back in the day. You look like Plastician. I'm not even lying.
He's my mate.
You look like Plastician.
He's my mate.
But I've been to see Koki, Mala, Digital Mystics,
DMC.
Scream.
I've seen him. I'm made to Scream, his brother Hijack.
Well, I used to be an MC back in the day and we used to spit the dub.
Me too.
2009 when it first came out. But I heard one of your songs you dropped on your channel, it was a bit dubby.
Yeah, that's from back then. I do all different sorts of music.
That's South London, that's real dubstep.
Yeah.
Before they got ruined to all this loud...
Well, no, I like that part. I like Exertion.
Well, like Borgore and stuff, all that shit.
Yeah, Borgore.
Golf trad.
Do you need a work uniform? Want to start a clothing brand? Or maybe you have a football kit that needs a logo printed? Well, if I was you, I'd get in touch with the Re-Inspire Printing Company down Treforest Industrial Estate for the finest printing and embroidery in Wales. I use them for my custom-made mankini, but you could use them for t-shirts, hats, hoodies, and many, many other things.
I met him before, he's all right. But to tell that one real quick is that, and this, some people say, oh, this guy saw Green Street Hooligans the other day or something like that.
He thinks he's a journo. He's a journalist.
Well, people think I'm just getting into this. So talk about Plastician. Shout out to the man Plastician, Terry Hatcha. I'd like to get back in touch with him. I lost contact with him because the dubstep is, it died in Miami, let's say. We used to be my mates used to be bringing them over. So
Dub was massive in America.
So imagine this. I got into it 2009. It only existed in LA and New York. And then 2009...
Seattle as well.
Well, I can't say what time. I'm going back to 2008 is when it came to Miami. Then 2009, next Winter Music Conference, my mates are telling me, brother, you need to come check this out. And it's Scream and Hijack. My mate was already friends with him. His name Roger from Boston. Anyway, so my very first dubstep gig is Scream and Hijack. And as soon as I got in there and I heard it, whoa, like, what is this? My man, I've been trying to tell you, dubstep, but the word doesn't register. You're not used to hearing the word. So the bottom line is, right, so I got headed over, I got fully into it. I got all the way into it. I went to every gig. And then sometime, Terry, Plastician, I'm with Plastician and Hatcha at White Room in Miami. And now this is in a more black area, let's say. And this is a late night gig. So when everybody goes in, it's one thing. But now these boys all come out, everybody's on everything. We're out of our faces. We come out, and now it's 4 or 5 British guys that stick out in Miami. in the black area, let's say, and there's a lot of people looking for opportunities out there. So this is like 5 in the morning, 4 in the morning. And these geezers come out, and I could see they were scared. And I always behave as bodyguard for my man Juan Basehead and other artist friends of mine. So as soon as I seen that, and I looked around the streets where the situation was. This is 2009 or 2010. My reaction, I took off my shirt and started chanting and singing Hooligan songs and singing Cockney Reeds like, "Here I'll cry throughout the streets, know just what it means." So I'm walking down the street and I'm chanting Hooligan stuff and singing Hooligan songs, Oi song. And then, whatever, nobody did nothing. These guys are loaded up with money on different compound. So once we got somewhere that was safe, we're having a drink, they're laughing. And Plastician says, "Mate, I didn't know anybody followed that in this country." So he just calls me a football hooligan. He was calling me that in 2010. You feel me? That's how I didn't just get into this. You feel me?
That's mad.
But lastly though, on the Clobber brands, Section 60, a new one coming up, the boy Liam, I'm the U.S. representative. Del Boy 15 is your 15% code and if you see what he's done, and this was to me a massive respect. I don't think I've earned what I'm about to tell you, but shout out to other top boys who are doing their thing. This man, what he done is the same way he sent me all his gear to hopefully represent or whatever. He sent it, if you look at his IG pictures of Section 60, it got Carl Moran, Blazing Squad, it got Dante Hawkins, Tottenham Yids, it got Riaz Khan, and I'm sure there's other top boys that I maybe haven't recognized yet. So
they're all on it then.
Yeah, well, they've taken pictures.
Well, that's nice that he's incorporated you in that. I know, it's for the American side, but have you kind of given that influence to America? Do you see people around where you are wearing kind of similar clobber now, or are you still the only guy really wearing this? No.
It's not so much in my area because here's the thing about Miami that's difficult is that everybody already dresses like casual in a way because of casuals. If you really break it down in terms of fashion, I don't know if you've heard this before. It comes from Southern preppy. Not Northern preppy, America. Not Northern preppy, but Southern preppy.
Okay.
The polo shirts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You can look further into it, and I'm not saying this is the authority. The lads could comment that on their own. But wearing designer clothes and polos and a lot of if you wear that to a football match, somebody's not going to notice that you're dressed in any sort of special clothes. You feel me? So when it comes to a bit colder climates, this is where you can wear heavier shirts and more jackets and everything. So let's just say that in South Florida, I've not been able to get anybody to be dedicated as much as me. In Orlando, there was already lads. Then by my influence and stuff I've done, there's more. They got about 20. The Orlando executive crew within the ILF Iron Lion firm, my man Stephen McKnight, other lads, they got 20 dressers. You know what I mean? So then you got the KSU, Keystone State Ultras, and that's for Philadelphia Union. And then within that, they got the CCC, the Chester County Casuals, right? So my man Mike. So them dudes, they got massive respect for me. And they was reaching out to me saying, brother, and one of their guys came down, Mike came down and he wanted to visit with me. And we had a visit, and then I went up to one of their matches, an away match, met up with them, and they got some lads. They were wearing Weekend Defender, Aquascudo.
Well, they're loyally going to their football games in the MLS on a like a season ticket holder basis, going away.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah, and so as we mentioned earlier, and I'll say it again. So soccer, so-called, is our fifth sport. Yeah. Number one is NFL, American football, then basketball, then baseball, then hockey, then soccer. So then within the soccer culture, the hardcore, as we call SGs, so supporter groups, that's what they're called, and they're authorized. Some are unauthorized, like me is an unauthorized group, but some are authorized and they participate with the front desk. So they're meaning they're involved with the club. They have decision making in the stadiums and so forth. The ILF was able to help design their own stadium because they had the supporters. Anyway.
Is that tough though? Like if you wanted to get into a scrap, then you can't really get into a scrap because they can penalise that club then. Is it like that, would you say? Or?
Yes, absolutely. For example, my friends, Sector Latino, they're from Chicago. So they're a Chicago firm. Now, some of them are into the casuals thing. It's smaller. They're more into the Latino style barra brava. But just imagine Chicago going to an away match and getting into a fight in Chicago or something like that. So them dumb dudes, they got banned. Their entire group got banned for too much violence.
Yeah.
And then, so they have another successor called Banda Roja. So yeah, and then there's the Inebriati. They were a Canadian, I want to say Toronto. Man's like Stenge Rockwell. He actually was from England and went over there and got with them. But so Inebriati, also that group was an ultras type of group. They got banned. So yeah, you're gonna walk a fine line of getting into fights and representing the name. So it definitely has to be done away from the grounds. Once you do something away from the grounds in America, though, it's not like Britain where you get into a fight just because you come away from a match and now you're in a completely different city.
Get banned from there.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not like that in America. If you go down the street, you're off the property.
That's why you're trying to promote this kind of inner closed 10
Well,
on 10.
you know, I was trying to until I moved here. And once I moved here, you know, you have a lot of big ideas until you come to the place and then you get accepted by the people. And
yeah, you're part of this one.
Exactly. So the thing is, I still have these ideas. I want to make a hooliganism video game. But anyway.
Yeah, like
I
the
got a lot
Warriors. Rockstar.
What I want to do with you, brother, and today is the day that we'll begin. I have a story, a fiction story in my head that has to do with the Arthurian legend and mixing that with the hooliganism. I don't want to reveal the plot. I don't want nobody to take my story. But the fact of the matter is, British football hooliganism, casuals culture, is uniquely British. Whereas skinhead, which I came from, it come from Jamaica, it's a mixed culture, and that's not a bad thing. But as far as what has been imported from the subcultures that spread around the world, mod. Hippie came from mod. My parents were hippies. Skinhead also came from mod. You had teddy boys. I don't know the history of it here. Hopefully, if I'm hanging out with you, I'll learn more. But, you know, Teds, they had dandies, you know, so
yeah.
Even Jamaica, the reggae really was developed here. They had the ska more.
Ska, yeah.
So the British culture has...
Have you ever heard of Skin Dread? They're a band. He's from Newport. We interviewed them. They're a massive band. They're like, you know,
Two-tone?
reggae rock.
Yeah.
They're like two-tone, yeah.
Well, I don't know if I've heard of them. Maybe I have.
Oh,
but I'd like to hear them.
Yeah, I'll introduce you to them. Yeah, definitely. Do you know what? You're so clued up on it all, and you really, and that's what's so unique about you. You know, you've got so many little things you're pretty good at. Like you said, you're a musician. You're the jiu-jitsu coach, so you're a mixed martial artist. You've gone balls deep into this casual culture, which is it is amazing to see. But what's portrayed on like the Voice documentary and everything else is that like you're not really that savvy with it, but you are pretty.
Well, I learned a lot more. That's before I moved to England.
Yeah.
That documentary came out. Vice is not news as such. It's more a television program.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to disparage them, but news means you make a story and you put it out. Well, they done that story with me in around February 2019. Then I moved to England in June, and the thing didn't come out till December. I was in London. I was staying in London by the time it came out. So just by the time I came out, I had learned so much more. And you know what I mean? And then in reflecting on everything, I was out of my head a lot of the time because I had to submit myself. A lot of people see me in that see me online, let's say. So not everybody was embracing me right away, let's say in Plymouth. And I'm not saying every single person does like me, but nobody's gonna like you everywhere you go. That's life. No. But I did have a lot of people coming up and testing me. And I got in fights and stuff like that in Plymouth. And I just felt like I had to put myself before the community. And I'll drink every drink, and I'll go in the bathroom with everybody, and I'll be walking down the street. I was a big star. I'm walking Mutley Plain. Mutley Plain is the livest place I've seen yet. I see more violence. There's violence every night in Mutley Plain. But I would walk around Mutley Plain. Hi, cowboy! I felt like a big, You're
like the mascot for them now, and you.
So well, and I'm saying at that time. So I walk around, people seeing me everywhere, wanting to buy me a pint and everything.
Yeah.
So and then there's And I don't know if I'm an alcoholic or not. I drink every day.
I was going to ask.
I drink beer every day. And
Yeah. No, because on the Voice documentary, you was drinking first thing and all that. You know what I mean?
Well, and it's you know the term campy. So
no, go on.
Well, campy is,
gay.
Huh?
Like kind of feminist gay.
No. Campy would be if you make a movie and it's kind of like over exaggerated, if it's a movie about the 70s, Austin Powers is campy.
Yeah.
So I gave it a campy element, and they were into it, and it's what they wanted to portray themselves. And so the stereotypical hooligan. I don't wake up drinking. I've not had beers yet today.
That's what it was. Yeah.
So, but the stereotypical.
Daddy Dyer.
Yeah. So the thing is this: it's not taking the piss out of it to me, as people saw, and eventually people say, "Well, no, he actually loves it. He's actually into it." But it is making an entertainment product out of it.
Well, it was like, you were like you was drinking an American Colt 45. You was drinking a can of Stella.
Yeah.
Like you was really putting that British.
I know.
You made sure you got an 8-pack before he came in here.
I know what lads drink, but so the thing about it is this: being the person I was and what I was trying to do, right? Who was I to approach it from a serious perspective? Like the brother at Soul Crew, you interview him. He's tell you the real score, and it's serious. It's not a comedy act. So the thing is, with me, who would I be to be out there talking about hooliganism in a serious way? So it's a show and an entertainment. I got more and more into it, and clearly I like it, and I'm interested in it. I'm from a different country trying to import it, but so I think that a lot of once all the top boys kind of got to know me and stuff. I know lads from almost every firm. And they give me respect and stuff. I have not earned it through football fighting. They see that I have a similar background, let's say. But I'm happy with the way it came out, and I'm happy for them to portray it as a joke. And I don't mind playing the fool and making people laugh. To be honest with you,
World Cup's coming up. I don't know if the USA
2026.
A USA in there, they are, aren't they? We're playing you. Like, have you ever thought of like kind of infiltrating like a firm? Because like it always seems to kick off when the World, like, look what happened in the Euros with Russia.
As far as the national firm,
have you thought about bringing like your Chicago teams and your Miami boys together to?
They already have. They have a group called American Outlaws.
Okay.
That supports the national team. My friends, I don't really have any friends that are friends with them. As far as how they, what's their mentality? I don't really know them. So as far as putting together a firm, a nationwide firm for America, yeah, that's the idea. And 2026, we got World Cup in America.
So yeah.
So all-star sort of firm, but and that's such a unique phenomenon. Let me touch on that for a moment. So coming from American gang background, when I was studying the hooliganism, so Among the Thugs, that book Among the Thugs by Bill Buford. Well, I read that when it came out, right? Okay. So I read that when it came out. So I knew something about the hooliganism. And let's say 1989. There's a book called Skinhead by Nick Knight, right? And I had that, and that has a whole section about hooliganism. And there's a famous picture with a girl with a dart in her eye from a match. And then it shows all sorts of weapons, the coins and everything else.
That's what they used to bring in.
Millwall brick. So there's a whole section in that book.
Millwall brick.
Yeah, Oh, that's another thing. The British have some nasty weapons. You'd rather get shot than some of these weapons. Have a Mank hedgehog. You heard of that before?
No, go on.
Chocolate bar.
Teaching me on the culture, yeah?
Chocolate bar with a bunch of razor blades in it.
Ah, right, okay.
Chuck that down.
Nice.
That's nasty, man. But, so anyway, going back into the books, studying it from that perspective, studying it from an academic perspective, then you get the Gary Bushell. You know Gary Bushell? Gary Bushell is the founder of Oi music. Gary Bushell was a writer for the Sounds, and he's the one who says punk is dead. To where Waddy Buchan from Exploited made the song Punk's Not Dead. But it was first, and what he meant it was stale. And then what he saw is a pattern of working class lads, football lads, from all over UK that didn't know each other. Blitz from Manchester, Cockney Rejects from West Ham. He saw a pattern of bands emerging that were more in the line of Cocksparrow. And he came out, the name Oi. My friend was Mickey Fitzsimmons, rest in peace, he died. He was a singer of The Business. He's West Ham ICF, he died. Me and him became really good friends. And I used to imitate this for him and we'd have a laugh about it. But, he describes it in the Oi, the video. It's a documentary about Oi. And he talks about it, he says, I'm paraphrasing. He's like, we was listening to rock, and it wasn't giving it. He said, and then punk came along, the Sex Pistols, and it was a kick in the balls, but it was manufacturers, it was art school kids. And he says, and it was the football scene. it was a football scene that took it back for the punk scene. He said, I'd never forget, I'm at West Ham, my mate has a shirt, "Hey, what's that?" "Oh, it's Sham 69, they're great." So he says, after the match, after kicking off, then we went to the pub and we had a punk show, a proper punk show, what we felt was a proper punk show. So that's him kind of describing the origins of Oi. Now you tell that to a pink-haired punk rocker that gets beat up by football lads. I don't necessarily think they're gonna think that we turned it around. And then that goes into the lad culture and lad rock and all the faces and the Dr. Feelgood and stuff that I've researched. And that goes into the Mac lads, lad rock. And then Oasis is the modern, Stone Roses, but then Oasis, I came to learn when it was a major culture shock. I come to England singing Oi songs. Sometime I woke up early in the morning and the other guys in the house I was living in a party house. And I wake up in the morning, I was so proud, I started singing my Oi songs. And my mate Sean, I ran everybody out of the house, didn't I? I didn't know why they went outside. And then my mate Sean comes down, he said, what are you doing? I says, what? He said, you're down here shouting. I said, what do you mean? I said, brother, this is your culture, what do you mean? He says, what? He says, it sounds like a bunch of shouting. He said, where's this music from you listening to? It's all from London. And then it dawned on me, these people don't really like those people's accents, I don't think. So it was a culture shock. I thought that you guys liked Oi music. And then I realized, that's in the past. The Manchester came out, and then from the Manchester, and then it came, then by now, the Oasis.
That's more universal, isn't it?
Well, let me tell you, how I experienced it was sometime I'm in a pub after I realized, wow, these guys don't like Oi music. That was a shock to me. I thought everybody in England, these guys didn't know who the bands even were, never heard of it. So then I'm in the pub sometime, and Wonderwall came on, and I watched everybody, man, woman, young, old, lads, all were singing it. It was like almost closing time. And the energy and everything is that same energy of football chanting, of Oi music. So then I just realized that in the same way that to me, casuals is the evolution of skinhead. I approach it from a subculture. So I think other people look at it differently, and people don't really understand what skinhead movement is, and maybe people think, they have their own ideas of what it means, and they don't know the history of it. But to me, casuals is a subculture. The football, it happens to be what it's attached to. So that's when people say, does this guy even watch football? Hey, well, there's girls that like to go to a rave. Do they actually watch a DJ? It's a consumer product. You're able to do whatever you want with it. I don't have to sit and study the names of the players and all that. I respect them, but it ultimately it's something to bring us all together. Yeah. As far as what I believe in, laddish culture, what some would call toxic masculinity, but I don't really care what they think.
That's brilliant, mates. Oh, mate, honestly, that's crazy. One thing I want to say as well is, as an American trying to come over to the UK and try and get into the hooligan scene, you're down in Plymouth. If it was the 80s and the 90s, fair enough, or 70s, 80s, 90s, fair enough, because hooliganism was very active. It's hard for anyone really now to get involved in something that's quite active like hooliganism. It's all clamped down with CCTV and stuff anyway. So when you go to these Plymouth games, are you just enjoying the culture? Is that what it is? You just go in there with the lads? You go to the games?
Yeah, I've only been to 2 games. I was meant to go Bristol Rovers away.
Yeah.
And I was not able to get a ticket. We had sold out and everything, but that shocked me. I planned this trip for a long time, and this is mate. And even my mate's missus works for the front desk. There was every available ticket for away.
Oh, that's
they had those. The other lads had those, and everybody went, and it kicked off. So the thing is, I was meant to go with them. Am I setting out for it? What I've learned about it is, you don't go out looking for it, and that's the whole thing about what British they can't get into the forest fighting. They were going to show up, and you're going to show up in the middle of nowhere.
No, if it happens, it happens.
Yeah. You see what happens. That's the buzz about it, right?
Yeah.
You don't know what's going to happen. So that being said, I'll turn up. I'm here for our derby.
Yeah?
Yeah. I booked my trip around, didn't I? So
who's Plymouth Derby then?
Exeter.
Exeter, yeah. Are you in the same league, are you? Are they in the same league, Plymouth and Exeter?
Yeah.
They fucking must be. Yeah, that must be a big rival, Southwest. It's on the coast, isn't it? Yeah.
And everybody hates them. Everybody I'm friends with hates them. So then that's another thing.
Horrible place, Exeter.
Yeah, Exeter scum. We already know that. That's universally accepted. This is what my mates told me, that with Bristol and with Cardiff and Plymouth, there's not the same genuine hatred that they say everybody hates Exeter. Ultimately, everybody respects Cardiff, as what I see it. It's the top firm in the Southwest England, you know, and it's not to disparage anybody else, let alone the group I'm with. But if it's not it's one of the top firms of all time. So with that being said, I got no love for Exeter, but I got love for Cardiff.
I want to ask you an honest question. You've heard of Cardiff as a top firm with, you know, the Southwest region with the Plymouth boys. Have you heard much of Swansea?
Yeah, I have no friendship with them. On account of me bigging up Soul Crew and talking about Soul Crew, they came against me. Swansea Jack and Jack Army and stuff. So yeah, fuck them. Nah, I'd love to go with Cardiff versus Swansea.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got no love. I'm not Danny Dyer, mate. I'm actually into this.
Pick sides, like.
Yeah, I pick sides.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna give equal. You know, my friends, whoever's the enemy is my friends. I don't feel that Plymouth and Cardiff are proper enemies. Yeah, it kicks off, but
what we'll do is, right, we just missed the derby. Lucky because we got hammered. The football team ain't too great, but it's like what I say to a lot of them is they're always talking about Cardiff shit. Yeah, but half of the boys, their argument ain't about Cardiff City being a good football club. It's just the fact that they feel like we're just... The people of Swansea are just a bunch of idiots. That's how they look at it, most of the boys, innit? But what we should do is, right, after we meet Evo and stuff, we'll go, when is a derby, we'll try and get you down and we'll take you to a derby.
Well, I'd love that.
I think you'd really enjoy it. Yeah, definitely.
Well, and on that right quick, you know, talking to different people, me coming here, you don't know what's going to happen. You get yourself turned over coming in. This is far away. It's not London. It's not like I can easily get away, let's say. But what everybody told me, they said, mate, you're gonna love it. The Welsh people are really great people, and they said you're gonna love it in the history. So nobody advised me not to come, and on the contrary, they said no, the Welsh people are good people. That I'm gonna like the people I meet. Something like that.
Well, what do you think so far?
Yeah, mate, you're a brilliant. You know, the fact that you reached out to me the way you did, and then that we were able to make this happen. You know. Hopefully, more people from my audience in America, all my lads that watch my stuff, even if they don't all comment, they're studying it.
Yeah.
You feel me? Gang members and people, skinheads from America, looking for the next thing and seeing what I'm doing, seeing what I'm into, so Wales is not well known. Americans don't exactly understand the nature
of
the
regions, yeah, of course, I get that.
That's Scotland, so Scotland,
they think
Wales.
Britain's England, that's what they think.
Yeah, so it's a bit confusing like that. So then the Welsh flag, and then
best flag in the world.
Well, another big subject, maybe it could be for the next time I come, or maybe it's better left out. Then it gets into the Welsh independence movement and so forth. I have a mate, I have not seen him since I've been back in Plymouth. He's from here. I think he had to leave. His name's Taffy. I don't think that's his real name. But anyway, his name's Taff, and he's game. He's an older chap. I seen him do some slick moves on other lads. He's fast-minded. But sometime he took me to the side and said, yeah. He told me about it, and
Welsh independence.
I don't think that it was as bad. I don't think the tension is the same as with the Northern Ireland and everything. But I know there's a lot of history to be known, and I know that right now, the day I come, Liz Truss resign.
Yeah, good.
Hey, but how come nobody says, all right, America, and I think you guys are following our country down to perdition, but anyway, how come, and they say, oh, now this is the first time in America there's more females there's more women in the in the highest positions. And now they say the same thing over here.
So,
how come they celebrate that? But then when both countries are going down in flames, then they don't blame it upon that. I don't know.
No, you're right, mate, I think you're right.
Yeah, I don't want to aggravate the Welsh feminists. Maybe I'll get along with them, I don't know.
No, listen, there is tensions between, we had a massive Yes Cymru march 2-3 weeks ago. A lot of people for independence, and people talk about, the Prince of Wales, and that people say that, it's kind of it's a diss to the Welsh people, because the Prince of Wales, the last real Prince of Wales was Owen Glyndwr. Every prince we've had since have been part of the royal family, so it's more like a up in your face type of thing. Do you know what I mean? So, hey, listen, I've got a couple of questions I want to ask you, fired off, like the top threes, yeah? So first of all, what in your eyes, from the studying you've done, what do you think in your eyes are the top three derbies in the UK, in the football firms?
Top three derbies, you can't, immediately you have to say Old Firm is going to be one. Yeah. And when you say top, does that mean that the top violence, the biggest reputation? My derby, the Devon derby, obviously for personal reasons.
Yeah.
Because the people I care about the most, my main friends, that's the thing they care about the most. So if I would say that those two, then that's a good question. Because Millwall doesn't have a derby. They don't have a derby as such. It's more when they play people out of their league. It would have to be a London derby, but
Millwall West Ham, is it? No?
but that's not a derby.
No, it's not a derby. It's a rivalry.
I would think then, if I could include that, I would say that's a classic rivalry, Millwall West Ham. And the thing is, it's been expressed in the films, and it's interesting going into that. And you can go back to the top 3 questions. But if you look at the firm, the original one, yeah, it's good and everything, but it takes a piss out of West Ham. It makes him look like Muppets, doesn't
I think he was a Millwall fan. The producer.
and then Nick Love is for sure.
Yeah.
He's Millwall. He's friends with my man Terry Hatcher.
Yeah.
But go on. You said you had some more top 3s.
Yeah. So what would you put in your top 3 firms?
Top 3 firms of all time, and this is something that I've gone into.
Be careful, no?
Well, I've gone into this in videos, and it's not to offend anybody. And who am I? It's just somebody consuming this from a different country who obviously wasn't involved in it firsthand. And the fact is, nobody can say. Any firm can do another firm, especially in the more modern times. I seen Jason Mariner talking about with Liam Galvin. He would say, hey, nowadays, you're not going to have such huge numbers like it was in the past. Anybody could get turned over. But the way I see it, top 3 of all time, for me, Manchester Red Army, the biggest, baddest, and best of all time. The ICJ, Intercity Jibbers, you know what I mean, Men in Black, and I seen even the streets. I seen the Dean's Gate and some of the individual streets got 50 lads, you know. So, and we all know the history, rest in peace of Colin Blaney. He signed book for me. I was meant to meet him. Unfortunately, he passed before I could meet him. So I would say Manchester United, top number 1 all time. Then you got best pound for pound, Millwall.
Millwall.
Yeah. Hey, the best documentary of the whole, that gives me a lot of the inspiration, is the 1977 Panorama in Millwall. And it shows the breakdown. I've been studying that for years. I saw that, it's old. So I saw that long time ago. You know, and it shows the halfway line, you got the treatment, you got the F troop. And that's another question maybe for another time, because the casuals culture has been artificially created into a subculture as it is now, in the sense that it didn't have that name elsewhere. I don't know if they called it that here, but it was dressers in London. And before the sportswear came out, you see the Millwall 1977, they're not calling themselves casuals. They got the butterfly collars, and they got the turtlenecks in it. So it's dressing in designer clothes to a football match. That's really the definition of it. And the third, of course, the TCE, Central Element. I'm not saying that Cardiff hasn't turned over TCE, but that's just if you ask me. Yeah. But if I was being more objective, and taking myself out of it, you know, there's too many
different eras.
Well, you got from Birmingham Zulus. You can't. What about Liverpool? What about Everton County Road Cutters? You got
Naughty 40s.
Oh yeah, massive respect to my man Mark Chester. I'm friendly with Mark Chester. Okay. Stoke. I'm meant to go meet those guys. Naughty 40.
Borough.
Who?
Borough, Middlesbrough.
Oh yeah, Borough Frontline. Yeah, I know of them. There's so many good firms, and the history of this, it needs to be remembered. It needs to be documented. It's uniquely British, and these younger kids, what I see, are following American stuff. You know what I mean? This country here, or from Wales, Scotland, this tradition, you know, the youth, and I'm glad that I had something to do with kids. Now it's more active now. This scene is more active now. I'm not saying it's all because of me, but in the time when I come in 2018, people tell me from England, oh, you're out of your mind. That stuff's long over with me.
That's a good point. We're always trying to be American, aren't we?
Listen,
follow our own culture.
Oh yeah, that I can see it with the music and everything else. You know, being a hooligan used to be part of more of the coolest thing. Even chavs was more a thing. I get called a chav also, which at first I really didn't like, but I guess I come to see that I guess I am a bit, I don't know.
Depends what type of Burberry hat you wear.
So the thing is though, what's bigger now? The UK drill and that, which is taking something from America and then emulating the worst aspects of America with the crack deal and everything else. You know what I mean? The British hooliganism, although, you know, with the Heysel disaster, Middlesbrough disaster, Margaret Thatcher, the clamp down, the bill coming against it, we already know that it's been demonized. But you throw the baby out with the bathwater, you lose your own culture. You know, you should be proud. I think these firms and these people we're talking about, these lads you're talking about, and the boys from here, I think that it should give the people of England and the people of Wales and Scotland pride in their cities and in their country, that these lads are willing to go and looking good. But I guess they call that toxic masculinity or whatever, but I don't really care what people like that think. We're warriors, and we're from a warrior type of culture. And in the King Arthur days, we was using steel longswords, right? And now they use a millwall brick, I guess, right? But it's the same warrior tradition, and it should not be forgotten. It should not be lost. And I'll do everything I can to preserve it and learn about it and spread it to America. Yeah. And my friends appreciate it. My friends are learning it. Nobody's as deep into it as me, let's say in my area. But all over the country, there's firms all over the country of casuals that are just as into it as me, that were into it before me, that have the clothes, that have CPs and everything else. So you'll see me a lot of times say, I'm the only man with the aquascutum. I'm the only man with the mastrum. But it's not true. There's other lads that got more CP companies. I got 2 CP company jackets. I got 1 stone. I got 1 mastrum. There's other lads in America that got more than me. You feel me? So it's spreading. And then what I was nearly finished saying is that in the same way that how I come to England, when I done the first video, and then I said that I was nearly crying because it wasn't a YouTube video. So I tried to take it down and make a YouTube channel real quick, but it didn't work. So then I sat there thinking, damn, you know, I said, well, instead of, crying about it, if I make lightning strike once, I'll make it strike again. Or if not, death by 1,000 cuts. So then I got to make content on this kind of videos. Yeah. So then I started going, talking about all the big firms. And then a lot of them would more mug me off. But then smaller firms started reaching out to me, including TC and Steph, and say, hey, we like you, we respect you. You can come here with us anytime, and we think you're cool, and, this is who we are. So little by little, I started meeting more lads like that. And then somebody started telling me in these banter groups, I says, yeah, well, obviously somebody's looking at these videos and somebody's liking it. They say, yeah, but you're impressing a bunch of 14-year-olds, you're impressing a bunch of 15-year-olds. And then I thought about that. I was like, oh, really? I said, okay, well, that's the youth. So not for nothing, but there are a lot more kids and younger kids, and I've seen all the reports in the UK. They say it obviously negatively. They say they're finding 14-year-olds with cocaine use and 14-year-olds in the same firm with 50-year-old men. And I've seen articles about that recently. Yeah. So, which I'm not supporting cocaine use, but the idea that young boys...
Better than them carrying knives on the street selling crack and anyway.
Okay then. Okay then.
There we are. Right, listen, we got to go, right? So, we're going to go out and have a laugh anyway, but...
Hey, I'll come back. I got to come back to face Swansea with you.
Yeah? So this is how I want you to put this out.
We'll do a part 2.
Normally, I put a message out to the people. I want you, in Derek Diablo style, in perfect fashion, to give it to the Swansea Jacks down that camera.
Swansea Jacks! You lowlifes! You no good so-and-sos! You see who I'm here with, brother. The one and only Cardiff. Legendary soul crew is in the vicinity. And you boys, you're not worthy of the same level of respect. You're not worthy to be named in the same conversation. And sometime I'll come to your gaff. And hey, now that you see it's gonna be on you with me joining with these guys, one thing you could do is you could pay tax. We could go easier on you.
We can do it.
You give us 20% of the earnings of your football club, Swansea, and you can prevent the storm that is brewing right here and right now. If not, sayonara, sucker. Something like that.
Derek, man, thank you so much.
Massive respect, Colin. Hey, thank you for having me. Respect to Cardiff. Respect to all you boys. Cheers.
The Central Club.